Like you said earlier, many people think that life happens to them and not for them. So now I'm going back to reflect on, wow, that such a hard time in that season actually brought me here. Sure, one of the things I mentioned was having a very rough pregnancy. Essentially, that was one of the things that catapulted me to actually birthing living intentionally. And those are every time you reflect, it's like, just think about what did that do for me and the person that I am now? Like, how did it help me? Did it make me stronger? Did it make me more aware? Do I know myself? Make me more self-aware? Am I more connected to my friends and my family? I think reflecting allows me time to really see that clearly. And then it also helps me, like, okay, well, these are the aspects of my life that I want to be intentional with, because I went through X, Y, and Z to get to this point.
Hey y'all, it's Sierra. Make sure you head over to shoplegacysbks.com to check out the latest gear. As always, we have the classic Therapy is Dope crew neck as well as tees. So head over to cop your crew neck today. It comes in Heather Navy, that cardinal red, as well as that beautiful gold that we love to see. So head over to purchase yours, not only for yourself, but also for a friend as well. And we are offering free shipping right now. So head over to shoplegacysbks.com to cop all of your Therapy is Dope gear and check out all the other additional merch as well. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Legacy Speaks. Today, we're going to have an amazing conversation with somebody that I find to be truly, truly dope. Like when we initially had our conversation, like there was just the vibes, the energy was there. And granted, I don't use the word vibes a lot, but just her presence is just very fulfilling and very dope. And so before we dive right in, I need you to hit that subscription button below. That way you can stay up to date on newly released content on a regular basis. But I want to introduce you guys to Tiffany B. Tiffany B, how are you?
I'm doing well. I am doing well. Thank you so much, Sierra. I really appreciate it when people say the vibes and the energy. That's my thing. So I really appreciate you just acknowledging it, even with you saying like, yo, I don't say vibes much, but we felt it. So I thank you very much.
The spirit was moving. Yes. Tiffany, can you let the people know who you are and a little bit about the Living Intentionally platform?
Okay, so I am Coach Tiffany B. I am from New Jersey. I literally started as a certified neurophysiologist several years ago. And over the last 2 to 3 years, in 2019, I decided to just launch a business called Living Intentionally with Tiffany B. The business is really, it started off as but in support of moms. I was in coaching school at the time, and I was just like, okay, who am I going to help? Who am I going to help? Moms. But now it's just evolved into me helping women of color who are looking to shift from autopilot to live a more intentional life. So I've always been intentional. It's just been something that's been inside of me, but just through life experience, through things that have happened, we lived through a pandemic, everybody, just all of the things. Living intentionally with Tiffany B just felt good. It felt like this is who I already am. So now let me just bring it into fruition, birth it, and it officially came to life in 2020.
Oh, absolutely. I really love how the pandemic gave us the opportunity to sit still and tap into what truly matters, even uncovering our purpose. And it sounds like you've been on a journey yourself with living intentionally. And so can you explain what that looks like and why is it so important for us to engage in that process of intentionality when it comes to our wellness journey?
So it's extremely important. And it's so funny because I'm like, this is not just a phrase. It is really a lifestyle. It is a movement. You need to, I'm so passionate. And my friends are like, no, we understand. But so I don't want to come across as preachy. I want to give that disclaimer in the beginning. But just understand, those that are listening, that I am very passionate about it, because I found myself essentially living on autopilot and not necessarily realizing it, because had a good job and was like purchasing a home and was married and, like, I guess essentially checking off all the boxes, and not even just a checking off the boxes. I have a good family and things of that nature, but I was just going with the flow. Like, okay, I get up, I go to work. Like, if people ask me, like, I'm chilling, like life is good. Until just a couple of things, having my son and just having a rough pregnancy, experiencing like postpartum transition afterwards, and then with the pandemic, just all of the things. It helped me realize that I need to be intentional and purposeful with the life that I'm living, because we only literally get one life. And when when you really think about that, we see from the pandemic, we see how many people did lose their lives. And just in general, I think when we actually start to think like, how am I living my life? Like, am I just getting up every day, just going to work, whether that is a good job or a bad job? Am I just kind of like coasting because my everyday routine is to, go to Starbucks, and then so it just, without sometimes us acknowledging it or being conscious of it, we are just going with the do 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 do. And again, just going through life and just experiences. I'm like, yo, I only really have one life, and I really want to make it count. I want to like and really enjoy the life that I'm living. I want to be impactful. I want to be purposeful. And for me, that was like, all right, well, help other women that look like you, like help Black and brown women, because it's important. Like, we all should be living lives on purpose. This is not a practice round in life. This is I tell my clients, this is the big show. Like, this is it. This is no do-overs. So we should be intentional, because again, this is it. Why not do it in a purposeful way, in a way that, and whatever that means to you, like that, there's no blueprint for one person. Like, whatever, for some people is fulfillment, for like a family, for some people is, climbing up a career ladder, for some people is entrepreneurship, for some people is their nutrition journey, whatever it looks like, just do it in a purposeful way.
Absolutely. All of that. Like, even when you said that, like, this is the big show, like you only get one shot, like immediately you start to hear like Eminem's song in the background. You only get one shot. Like a chance to blow. Okay? Listen
No,
here.
it's your chance to blow.
Okay, listen, right? And it's just like oftentimes we feel as though life is happening to us, and like we feel like we have no choice in the matter. And it kind of brings up the concept of choice theory. It's something that I often share here on the platform, or even with like my clients, the recognizing that like no matter what situation you're in, there's always a choice. It may not be the ideal choices, but we're making choices every second, every minute, every hour, every day. Like, if you're frustrated with your job, you are actively choosing to get up and go to work. Yes, you got bills to pay, but like you can either lay in bed or find a new job, or like tap into that side hustle and turn it into something that's full time. Or maybe you're not in the best relationship right now. You have the choice to either like allow that to sit and fester, or to like man up, woman up, and have the conversations that need to be had. And so anytime our back is against the wall, we still have a choice, and we may not be comfortable with that. And so can you dive into like the nitty gritty, the discomfort that comes with living intentionally, and how that often stands as a barrier for people to like challenge whatever it is that they're doing?
Okay. And I need to hear more about choice theory, because I'm like, wait, let me not, I want to just add to that, because no, it's so true. Like, and I haven't even heard of choice theory. So I will literally be tapping into like, no, like really tell me more. But it really is a choice. And this is why people need to get intentional. Like, this is why you need to purposefully, like you said, people can be at a job, and we understand that bills do need to get paid, but there is some element of like what I would say is the autopilot in it, because I go here every day. I know that I'm gonna get my check in 2 weeks. I hate it. I hate the person I'm sitting next to. All they do is complain every day, and you probably complaining with them, but nobody is doing anything.
Talk about it.
Change it. Nobody's doing anything to change it, and that's why it's just no. You on my end, I tell my clients like, yo, this is why you have to get intentional. So circling back to the question that you asked, I don't even think, and this is why many times for me, the challenge is in the articulation of the message, because I don't think people are realizing that they are making the choice to stay wherever they are repeatedly when they're not happy. So it's, or just content or feeling complacent. So I think that it's not even, people don't even have the chance to kind of like shut it down or feel like they're not worthy of it. Now, what I will say is it stretches you. It really does stretch you. So just shifting the mindset of like, nah, it's not, it shouldn't be a challenge, but you should be up for the stretch. Like, you know, again, using the example of the job, is probably going to stretch somebody who, I don't have time to look for another job, or is anybody going to hire me, getting through their own fears and limiting beliefs. And so it is going to stretch you. But it is worth the stretch, because then when you're on the other side of it, it's true. Even for me, I'm somebody who very much has identified as an introvert majority of my life, and not like in a bad way. I just like my friends. I like my people. I stick to my people. Going outside of the box it has never been my thing. But on the living intentionally journey, like, this is how we are here right now, like literally. Both of us being in a entrepreneurship network. Dave was like, y'all should be collaborating. I mean, I don't usually do it, but it's just like, it's a stretch. I have to be intentional about meeting new people, stepping out of my own comfort zone, becoming more knowledgeable, exposure for myself, you know, all of the things. But this is what living an intentional life brings you. It brings about alignment to the right people. This is, whoever is listening to this right now, like, it's not by coincidence. Me and Ciara don't know each other, you know, like we don't know each other. You made a choice, because if we go in like choice theory in parallel with living intentionally, you made a choice to step out of your comfort zone. I can't remember which one of us hit each other, but one of us made a choice to hit each other, or one of us was intentional and the other person made a choice or was intentional about accepting. Like, we didn't have to be here, but it's for me, again, it's the stretch. And I don't know who's going to hear this, but whoever was meant to hear it needed to hear it. They needed to be in this place and space. And if I wasn't living an intentional life, man, I would still be with my same friends, and we still together too. You know, we're still together too, but the expansion of it has shifted. My mindset continues to elevate in ways in which, you know, I never even imagined, essentially, for myself, like 5 years ago, 3 years ago. And it continues to, like, I don't know where I'm going with it, but the more I continue to be intentional, the more things shift positively for me, with me being stretched. So I would just tell somebody that it's worth it. Sometimes we like to be on autopilot because it feels comfortable, because it's hard to step out of a comfort zone, because, you know, we all have different fears and limiting beliefs, but we got to break through our own glass ceilings.
Hey, lovely. Shout out to you, because I know mental and emotional wellness is important to you. If it wasn't, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast. But lean in really quickly, because I know sometimes it's really hard to create a plan and actually sticking to it. So let's take your mental health to another level. Ever wonder what keeps you from fully executing? Ever wonder how you can build the confidence for decision making? Well, guess what? You're not alone, and I'm here to help. So head over to mentalhealthgoals.com for your free mental health plan. It'll give you practical strategies for addressing your current mental health needs. But first, you got to tap in. So head over to mentalhealthgoals.com to receive your free mental health action plan today. Do it right now. mentalhealthgoals.com. See you soon.
We have to do it in a way that is really intentional, because it's a choice. Because if you don't, you could be sitting in the same spot for a very long, you know, for a very, very long time.
Absolutely. Like, even then, when you were talking about living life on autopilot, immediately I was thinking about not just the comfort zone, but also the familiarity. I think oftentimes we look at staying in our comfort zones as like a character issue, like a morality issue, when deep down inside, like, a lot of us, what do we often say? We like stability. We like to feel secure. But when something is stable, yes, we have a great foundation, and oftentimes we'll just stay on that first floor of that foundation. The whole purpose of you being stable is to build upon whatever structure that you have. And like you mentioned, you said that question, I'm gonna keep that in my back pocket. I'm gonna add that. Okay. You said, is the stretch worth it? Is the growth worth it? And it's funny because I had asked a client earlier this week, and I'm like, how much is your peace of mind? And sometimes we can feel like the growing process is at war with our peace of mind. But in my mind, I'm thinking, well, I would rather be on like the latter end of growing, because at least I'm not battling with like the fear of regret or the fear of missing out. Like, I want to see what's on the other side or the end of this growing journey. I want to see what's at the end of this chapter. And so when you said that, it's just like, is the growth worth it? Is the stretch worth it? I was just like, I'm gonna start asking people. Is the stretch? I'm gonna put a little razzle. Is the stretch worth it?
Is it? Come on now, come on, somebody. Come on, somebody. Oh my goodness, my client says that all the time. One of my women, she always says, "Come on, somebody," but it's the truth. And I want to add in there too. Dang, Sierra, this is good. I'm feeling it. If you are somebody who's listening and you may feel like the stretch may not be worth it, this is where the mindset coach that has the foundation in science part of me wants to step in, because it really is a mindset. If you are somebody who's like, well, no, the stretch is probably not going to be worth it, and who wants to go through all of the things, I just want to say that many of us, not, let me get my words together, because it's not many of us. Some of us have a fixed mindset. And I just want people to know that there's a difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And you can literally change your mindset at any point. Like, if you are somebody who has a fixed mindset, who thinks that things can't change, who thinks that you will always be in this same situation, who thinks that, woe is me. And I understand, like, life's for everybody, but understand that you are choosing to have that type of mindset. And your brain is literally feeding off of the mindset that you are choosing. So if you have two paths and all you see is negative, downward spiral, downward spiral, downward spiral, that's all your brain is continuously just showing you. That's all you're seeing. Like, you really have to, like we read in the morning meetup, use the power like of your subconscious mind. You really have to understand that your brain can actually rewire itself based upon what you feed it, based upon like what you consume. So it's just like, start there. Start at the very, like, why am I thinking this way? Why maybe am I scared of the stretch? I don't always have to believe, like, just for example, I'm going to be in poverty, or, I'm always going to have a low level job, or, even just all of the things. Like, really just examine yourself. And, I don't want to go like too far into it, but just examine yourself and be intentional and on purpose about the examination, so that you can just be honest with yourself and where you stand. Like, dang, like, I have been, like, again, for me on the living intentionally journey, there were some things that I didn't even realize I was thinking about myself, even like being an introvert. Like, I understand that, but it's still like, well, I can stretch myself where now I just have to use discernment about who I'm connecting myself with. Like, you can connect with people, you can open up the box, you know what I mean? But again, it's to a certain extent is mindset things that keep us in this same space, putting titles on ourselves and judgments and all of the things, when it's like, we just got to be mindful when we do these things.
Absolutely. And I appreciate the fact that you're bringing in that neurodevelopmental component, especially when we're tying in the concept of like neurocounseling, right? So we see how like our experiences either like create the solidification of neurons and pathways and stuff like that in the brain. And then that's when habits and continue to form, or habits continue to perpetuate. And so granted, like we talked about, we're not saying that how we currently are in this space is forever, but do do recognize that it takes some intentionality and some work and some dedication to start to unravel that. And we could see how trauma plays a role in that as well. And so for anybody who is listening, like we're reiterating, just make sure that you're taking the journey to unraveling what's happening, and then also not beating yourself up on this journey as well, because it does take time to start to rewire your brain, to start rewiring your habits and your behavior. Another thing that I also like to bring up is like the cognitive behavioral triangle. So we understand that like you have your thoughts, your feelings, and you have your behaviors. And so even then, right, we understand that regardless of what point you start off at, you can start off with your thoughts, and you can recognize that your thoughts influence your behaviors and your feelings. You can start off with your feelings and see how your feelings influence your thoughts and your behaviors. You can start off in your behaviors, and that could lead you to feel some type of way about yourself or have some irregular beliefs. You're taking the time to see how like that inner space is impacting all of itself. So not just mindset and mental wellness, but also make sure that you are sliding in that emotional wellness component, because your feelings play a major role in the way that you like perceive the world, how you perceive yourself, and how you see everything else. And so, Tiffany, can you shed light on how you have been intentional about like sitting with your feelings and processing it on your growth journey?
And can I just reiterate that you said like it takes time to rewire. Like I really want, because we live in a world that we are so instantaneous, like microwaves and IG and all, we scroll in 10 minutes and 10 seconds. Okay, next. Some of us don't even like 60-second reels now because it's too long. And I just want to no, you literally just drop bombs. I hope y'all go back and listen about the triangle and all of the things, but I think people need to hear that it takes time. Like people like look at me and they're like, Tiffany, you are so intentional. And oh my goodness, like how do you do all of these things? But it's like you said, you just asked me about like reflecting. So me, I'm somebody who reflects often.
Mm-hmm.
And being intentional has always been just a part of who I am. But now with the reflection added to it and just taking time to think about how my experiences have shaped me. Now looking at them, like you said earlier, many people think that life happens to them and not for them. So now I'm going back to reflect on, wow, that such a hard time in that season actually brought me here. Sure, one of the things I mentioned was having a very rough pregnancy. Essentially, that was one of the things that catapulted me to actually birthing living intentionally. And those are every time you reflect, it's like just think about what did that do for me and the person that I am now. Like how did it help me? Did it make me stronger? Did it make me more aware? Do I know myself? Make me more self-aware? Am I more connected to my friends and my family? I think reflecting allows me time to really see that clearly. And then it also helps me like, okay, well, these are the aspects of my life that I want to be intentional with because I went through X, Y, and Z to get to this point. So for me, the reflection is just very important because I'm also realizing too, like there is no end destination. It really is all about the journey. It's all about, we think it's cliche, but trusting the process is real because it all is a process. So when you reflect and like, wow, that was the roughest time of my life up until this point, because I'm God willing, I still have a lot more life to live. And now not even looking at it as like a bad thing, looking at it as like, wow, I needed to experience that to be who I am today.
Oh, I'm so glad that you shared that. Because there's probably somebody right now who's listening, who's probably like literally fighting for their life right now. Or just got out of that season of fighting for their life, and they're trying to make sense of it or find meaning of it all. And so immediately we understand that, we may not have that revelation right then and there. But one thing is for certain, if you've made it through the storm, recognize that you never have to go through that storm ever again. You've already experienced it, and you get an opportunity to be able to find meaning and to also turn your pain into purpose. So that was one thing that really stood out. And then I think for individuals who are currently in the midst of their storm, understand that like there are other situations that have led up to this that you most likely learned from. And so like, please don't discredit any of your previous experiences. Like check and see what's in your resiliency toolkit. If you're alive today at this specific time frame listening to this, obviously you've done made it through something. So give yourself credit and also give God credit as well for bringing you through it too. Because I mean, if you could make it through the last storm, listen, you could make it through all the other ones that are coming too. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Ooh, that was fire. Listen, she said, pull out that resiliency toolkit, y'all. Coach and me always want to pull out, so like, don't miss the gyms. I'm like, don't miss the gyms. Like, I'm always telling my clients, like, did you hear that? She said, no, really. Okay, so y'all listening right now. Really do not miss that though, because the experiences that we go through, they do provide you with tools along the way to make it through the next experience. Like if the experiences that you go through give you what you need as you are journeying through to make it through the next thing, you more equipped. So even if you just looked at it that way, like, well, you know what? My suit of armor is getting a little nicer. It's getting a little customized out here because listen, the ranking is going up. Like the rankings are going up. So yeah, I just don't miss that, y'all. Don't miss that.
Okay, because when the rankings go up, the favor goes up, the grace and the mercy goes up, the blessings go up. Okay, the opportunities go up.
Hello.
Like, everything that like you're going through is equipping you for the next level. So please like take a moment to reframe your experiences. Just be like, okay, God, we here, you know?
We here. Listen, we here. We just, God, you rock, I'm rolling. I got it. Like, I don't know what you got going on, but we here. We're just going to trust it. Ooh, girl.
Listen, so like even when you're talking about like armor and everything like that, I'm just like, oh yeah, like we gotta dive into how you help people with showing up, right? And not only do you help people with how they show up, but you also help them with how to like take action. And so can you speak to ways that people can not only just show up presentation wise, but also take action on their purpose?
Okay. So, the thing is, what I would say is if you want to be somebody who wants to take action, you need to get around action takers. Like, I think that is one thing that is action.
Sorry, y'all. Y'all can't see me, but like my little face is, yes. Sorry. So she's laughing. It's because
yes, I see the head. Oh, yes, Jesus. But that is I feel like a major key because it's really the environment for me. I naturally am an action taker. So sometimes it's hard for me to tell people what to do, but what I know from like clients and people saying things to me, like one of my really good clients, she's always like, I was having trouble executing or being an action taker. So I actually sought out to be around Tiffany because it's like, well, what's she doing? Like, how is she able to, execute this and execute that? And when she said that, I was like, oh, that's dope. Like, I really thank you for thinking of me like that. But things that I personally do are like the personal development. I stay in. If you want to be somebody, right? It's hard for you to take action right now, I think you should look at some of your habits and the things that you are doing in this current season that may not necessarily be serving you. Because what helps me take action is being around people who think like me, who think higher than me. I'm constantly in challenges and sometimes listening to podcasts. Like I'm sorry to say, and I have a podcast. I'm not crazy big on podcasts, but that's because I'm always tapped into just something else that I don't have the time. But it's like, I'm literally always trying to do something that helps feed my mind. So then I start to feel like I have the armor on anyway, like not even from experiences of life, but it's just the reminders of like, oh yeah, like, nah, I'm that girl. Oh yeah, and it makes me want to get up and oh, I could slay this thing right now. Like, what am I looking for? Some people need to look at their friends. You know what I mean? Because you may have people around you that's not necessarily feeding you like positive energy. Sometimes it's hard to be an action taker when you the only action taker in the group. It's like, you know, your friends can't necessarily keep up with you. And I'm not saying that it's anything wrong with your friends. Like, they keep them where they are too, but you need to find, in addition to those friends, you need to find groups and things that keep you in the mindset of really executing. That might be this podcast right here. That might be the Living Intentionally podcast. Like, whatever people need to find what works for them to be able to execute. And again, I feel like I'm a natural executor, but I make sure that I stay in places and spaces that like put gas on my fire. I stay in, you know, even if I'm feeling down, I'm gonna do a couple of whatever my favorite things are to like help me, you know, bounce back up. I'm gonna talk to somebody who is going to bring like great conversation to me to help, you know, lift me up. So now I'm like out here like the Incredible Hulk, really ready to take on whatever. So I would say just, you know, evaluate some of the things in your life right now, because it may be weights that you are not realizing that are like on you, causing you not to execute the way that you would like to.
I love all of that, because immediately when you said that you're an executor, I was just like, oh, the DISC assessment. You're very dominant and very direct. Whereas like I'm conscientious, okay? I need all the facts. I need all of the data. I need all of that first. Okay, where are we going? At what time? What do I need to pack? Oh, okay, cool. And then I can start to execute effectively. And so I truly admire other individuals who are very dominant, because y'all are like, let's get it done. Like, you know, progress and not perfection. Like, let's, you know, make it happen and then like see what happens next. And so for some people who are listening, they're just like, man, I want to take action, but there's these fears, like there's these limiting beliefs. And so thank you for providing encouragement in that manner. And another thing I really wanted to highlight too is just like, you're like, not just like having the armor or the presentation or the experiences, but also equipping your experiences with consistent training, consistent development, consistent investment in your craft. Because like we can only go so far based upon experience and talent, but we also need to make sure that we're partnering that with the books that we read or just continual education as well.
Right. And I want to say to even somebody who is listening, who, like you said, is like maybe like yourself, like, where are we going and what do we do and what do I need to pack? Even that though, because it's the self-awareness for me, because you can be an executor. You just now you know that you need a pregame to the game. So that's the thing, is the getting intentional about what you specifically need. That's like, if you are not an executor because you need things to be laid out for you a certain way for you to then be like, okay, bet, I'm ready, I can move, then you need to be somebody who's very intentional about those things beforehand, so you aren't sitting on the execution, because now you're sitting on the execution essentially because I don't know what time we leaving and you ain't telling me what to pack and I don't know where we going until you give me the itinerary. I'm really not going to move. So now you need to be intentional and purposeful in saying, okay, where we going? What time? What do I need to pack? Like sometimes people are waiting for these things in comparison to going out and figuring it out. So then you got what you need.
Y'all, she get me together on my own podcast, y'all. Okay, she essentially was just like, instead of waiting for it, how about you go search for it? I have to get real low in my tone, okay? Because she really read me on my own podcast.
I'm just saying, autopilot look different for that. I'm trying to tell you, even for the high level people out here, even like, again, I was somebody who just was like, I'm good, I got a good job, I'm good. I wasn't going out to, and then God was like, so you want me to meet you, but you still sitting on the couch. I done gave you all of this stuff, all of this experience. I done gave you the job. I done gave you, you know what I mean, big sister personality, or like you done went to an all-girl school. Now you done went to a HBCU. You got all of this stuff inside of you. And you want me to meet you, but you sitting on the couch. And I was just like, oh God, so you want me to work? Okay.
Yeah.
So then I became more of an executor, because I know that God, he the big homie. So he always going to provide and all of the things. But when I do the work too, when he matched me, like you just said, when them rankings start going up and them levels start increasing because I'm doing the work. That's why it's the difference between, and this is not being shady or funny or nothing, but it's just like, this is why like lieutenants are lieutenants, you know what I mean? This is why they are the people who are training, because you get to a point of you start doing the work, but it's a stretch. And that's the thing, is the stretch worth it?
Listen, I literally just had entered into the stretching season, because, you know, it took me a while to leave my agency job and get into private practice full time. So I was working like 3-4 jobs all at the same time, because I just really want to focus on like stability and security and things of that nature. And I started getting tired. And so it's just like, instead of like having all these different buckets, why don't we, because you know how they say multiple streams of income. Well, I mean, if the streams ain't streaming, then I need you to just go ahead.
Look, I just needed to just bring it together. Bring all the mini ponds together and let's make a lake. Because
Absolutely. And so people mistake their desire for entrepreneurship based upon their desire for security and stability. And obviously that's going to look different for everybody. But when you were talking about intentionality, it's just like, I kept giving God the excuse of like, well, Lord, I don't know if I want to go into private practice full time, because I don't, I barely do X, Y, and Z for these people. What makes you think that I'm going to go ahead and do these things for myself? Like, right. So I was like, I barely get up on time, or I barely get these notes done, or I barely do this. And God was like, you're making excuses. And so literally left agency setting in private practice. And when you were talking about, is the growth worth it? One of the questions that I also had to ask myself was, who do I need to become in order to be able to handle the weight of this direction, the weight of like what God is calling me to. And so, yeah, that's really dope.
woo, come on. Who did you need to become?
Girl, I had to become an executor. I had to become somebody who manages their time well. I had to become somebody who utilized their gifts for themselves. Because if I could go ahead and make all this money for all these companies, if I can like execute on like completing my notes, if I can execute on seeing like 30-40 clients a week, why can't I do that for myself? And granted, I don't want to live that lifestyle anymore. So if you listening and you trying to become a therapy client, my books are closed. Okay. But like if I could do all those things for other people, then I know I can use my gifts and talents for myself. So that's what I had to become. Who did you have to become in order for living intentionally with Tiffany B to occur?
I had to become more open to just all of the things that God had in store for me. Because I used to, well, not to say again, but I used to be very content with like, I just want to live in a nice little house somewhere. I don't want to bother nobody. I don't want nobody to bother me. And then God was like, but I have so much more for you, which means that you have to open your mouth, which means that you have to speak, which means that you have to really get out your own way. And I'm somebody who continues to be like, self, you in your own way? All right, like, all right. You, like you said, you was giving God the excuse of this and this, and many times we don't even realize that we're doing it. Yeah. So I had to become more self-aware, like, so that I can see when I'm just like, yo, is this real, or is this just me imposing my own thoughts in my own head? I had to become somebody who, I think I used to always play the line of like, I don't want to come across as like, not necessarily like boastful, but like, I'm gonna let the light shine, but it's gonna have tint on it. It's gonna be people know it's a light. It's a light, not a tint. Like you gotta, and I don't know what that was. I'm sure a therapist would probably be able to, help me really dig into what that was. But I had to become somebody who, like, yo, the light, some haters not gonna like it, but those that attract to your light, they need your light. Like they are, and when you take the tint off, many other Black and brown women who look like you are going to take the tint off. And you know how like illuminated things would be?
Ooh.
When everybody take the tint off, like, so I had to become somebody, and continuing to become somebody who like accepts that, takes that in. Or because on the flip side, again, I want to say that I for a long time have identified as an introvert. So when you take the tint off, and even whether it is like, glaring out haters or attracting a lot of people, I still have to become somebody who understands discernment, because naturally it's hard for me to, and not hard, but I'm just not something like, again, you got to be solid to be in my sphere. So now if my light is off and I feel unguarded, so I'm becoming somebody who, God got me to the right people. I'm becoming somebody who is more spiritually connected to God, and not just because I grew up in a church, but because it's like, I need to know God for myself to get me through experiences and all of the things. And it continues to stretch me because it has to be intentional. Again, some of us on the line have gone to church our whole lives because it's just common practice. I've been doing it since I was 3 years old. I ain't never missed church. And then you'd be like, what you got out of church this week? Girl, Pastor preached the same word. They won't work, so it's not to make fun of anybody, but it's, again, that's the difference in the intentionality. So when you start to get closer to God, and God is like, no, like, you could take the tent off, and I'm gonna make sure that the right people connect to you and hear what you have to say on all of the things. It takes a lot. It takes a lot, but again, it's worth it. It's very much worth it.
That's so good, because what I'm hearing is it's like, not only are you having like your confidence and stuff, but your confidence is also rooted in the protection that God provides. And then also like trusting that whatever it is that you need is going to occur. Funny enough, it's so interesting. And I was probably going to like wait to share this on your podcast, but I mean, we're here now. Funny enough, because y'all backtrack. Tiffany is right. We are a part of the morning meetup with David Shan, Sleep is for Suckers. And our assignment, I believe last month, was to start building relationships and to like cultivate relationships within the community, because there's like so many of us within the same group, obviously, but we come from different backgrounds. And so immediately the chat just filled up with like, yo, let's connect, and blase, squaze. We hit each other up on Instagram, and that was that. And so, like I mentioned, the vibes were dope. But then like later on, I was just like, I feel like I've seen her before. And then I remembered, my mind jogged to the fact that you were at, what was that conference?
Black Equity Con.
Black Equity Con. And she was on stage, y'all, shining her light. It was a pitch competition. Mind you, Holy Spirit was like, you should definitely go up there. And I was like, child, please, I ain't going up there. But listen, Tiffany went up there and she talked about her living intentionally board game. And she just like killed it, and you won. And I was just like, it's her. Oh my goodness, that's really dope. And so like literally in that moment, she took off the tent and just like talked about what she has always been passionate about, which is helping people, helping women become the best versions of themselves. And she was able to gamify it, y'all, at the same time. And so even in this moment, thank you so much for taking the tent off and shining your light. Yeah.
Oh, you so lit. Oh man. And even just thinking about the morning meetup, again, this is environments and places and spaces in which it helps people grow. It helps people to, connect and all of the things. So even if it's not the morning meetup, even thinking about Black Equity Con, again, I don't want people to miss things that we not just talking about it. Like, these are things that we actually doing, actually showing up to it. You know, David saying connect, and I'm sure that there were people on the line who didn't for several different reasons, you know, just was like, you know, I'm not going to hit nobody up. And it's understood. People do things in the right time and place and space for them. But when you do decide to, you know, I'm gonna be open to it, I'm going to be intentional, I'm gonna make a choice to move forward, it's like you have no idea where it could possibly take you out. We don't know who's going to hear this. And, you know, when things really blow up, and it's just like, dag, like, the possibilities are there.
Absolutely. And before we close out, can you let people know a little bit more about It's Lit, the board game? Because I think it's important for people to know about that.
Oh, yeah. So It's Lit, the board game is my intentional board game. It's actually an acronym where It's Lit stands for It's Living Intentionally with Tiffany B. The premise of the game is to help. Really, it started off with me thinking around about Black and brown people, but it's really for all people to have more intentional conversations. So I was trying to figure out, like, what is a way to do it? Because again, with me identifying at one point as an introvert, I'm somebody who has always liked deeper conversations. Like, small talk, it has never been my jam. Like, it's challenging for me to do it. And I also just felt like, wow, I wish that people would open up more about things that they're going through. And we are all going through a human experience. Sometimes it could be friends, and they could be friends for forever, and you won't even know that your friend is suffering, or somebody in your household may be suffering or needing a little help, needing a little love, just all of the things. So it's just questions on there. Some are fun, some are activities where you're like singing and dancing. People tell me like, yo, we experience every range of emotion while playing It's Lit, just because I was able to put together a couple of questions, like, you know, like, where, you know, what's the, excuse me, I'm like trying to think of a question without giving like all of it away. Actually, it's so crazy because on the girlfriends game, the question is just, sis, are you okay? And it's so funny how so many times I get so many responses from people that is like, yo, I didn't even know that my girlfriend was like going through something until we played the game. And then we landed on the sis, are you okay question. And that's when it, you know, it was just like, wow, it gave her the opportunity to speak on, you know, how she's actually feeling. And I'm just like, it seems so simple. But it's not though. Like, my friends always joke about how I'm the one who's like, how are you doing? But then I'm like, no, how are you like really doing? Like, you, okay, the surface answer in the beginning, we can rock with it, but like, no, like, how are you actually really feeling? So that was just really the inspiration for the game. And again, it's not just all like super deep questions. It's questions about the future. It's it'll make you get up and dance. It'll make you do like the cha-cha slide together, sing Beyonce, like all of the things. But I wanted to find a way to, you know, when you at your family function and y'all around the Thanksgiving table or whatever, or y'all playing the games at the July 4th cookout, pull out It's Lit, make it fun, but it still gives a chance for people to actually, you know, speak on how they may be feeling about certain things in life right now. So it's intentional.
I love it. Absolutely. I'm really big. I'm the same way. I do not like small talk. I don't like surface level conversation. I really like getting to the core of the matter. And so for anybody who is just like, I don't know what to ask, I don't know what to say, either purchase It's Lit or create a list of questions that you always wanted to ask your friend or even ask yourself. Rip up those sheets of paper, put them in a little jar, shake it up, and then just pass the jar around in a circle. And like, it's at random, and your friends have to answer those questions. So please make meaningful connections. Like, life, we say this all the time, like, life is short. You never know if you will ever have the opportunity to spend time with that person ever again. And so make sure that you're making the most with that time. You don't have to always go super deep, but like, make the most out of it. Create those memories with other people. Tiffany B, can you please let the people know where they can find you, how they can tap in, how they can stay connected with you?
Yes. So Okay, I do a lot of different things. If you just happen to be in the northern New Jersey area while listening to this, or you want to come up to visit, please stop at the Cold Stone that is across the street from King University. It is owned by my husband and I, young Black couple, HBCU, like all of the things. So I want to say that because I always shout out the store. The next thing is, if it's something that from a professional standpoint, because I'll do speaking in different organizations, schools, all of the things from a mindset and just the background is STEM. You can find me on LinkedIn at Tiffany Barreau. That's TIFFANY BARREAU. I'm also looking to find ways, I'm actually doing it now, but integrating the mindset coaching with the science. So intentionally resetting is like my joint right now. I am on Instagram. That is just like my lifestyle page. Living intentionally, TIFFB. You can find me there. You can also find me at www.livingintentionallywithtiffanyb.com. On there, my group coaching program is there. It's Lit is up there. You can subscribe to my Sunday newsletter up there. You can also subscribe to the Living Intentionally podcast up there. So you can find all of the things, Thank you so much, Ciara, just for this opportunity to just connect, to have meaningful conversations. I know that things will be fruitful. I look forward to you coming into the Intentional Woman community. I look forward to you being on the Living Intentionally podcast. This conversation was definitely lit. So I really appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for all that you are, all that you do, and all that you have been. I greatly appreciate it. This is a question that I ask all of my guests before we wrap up. You know, the podcast is called the Legacy Speaks Podcast. What would you like your legacy to say about you?
My legacy will say about me that I am a woman of faith, sisterhood, empowerment, family, and of impact and community, because I'm looking to be intentional in all those areas, to give back, to really help women, like one, to give back, but to also help the women that are standing like right beside me, so that we could lock arms and really just be that army, like really with the rankings, because it matters, because we are the family, we are the career women, we are the entrepreneurs, like we are the pillars. So my impact will definitely be that of support, encouragement, love, coaching, all of the things to Black and brown women, and my family, like they everything to me. So they just everything to me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for this amazing conversation. Once again, y'all, if there's anything that resonated with you, please make sure that you are liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing. Let us know what gems really stood out to you. Don't forget to tag us at Living Intentionally Tiff B, as well as at Legacy SPKS on everything. Once again, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and definitely stay connected. Once again, my name is Ciara Hillsman. Once again, my name is Ciara Hillsman, licensed professional counselor, emotional wellness coach. Okay, I'm gonna get that out.
Go ahead. Hello.
Okay, listen. Thank you very much. I'm gonna get it out anyway. And if you thoroughly enjoyed this episode, please be sure to check out the most recent episode and the one after this. Okay, because the greatness just keeps on coming, and so I can't wait to see you until next time.